Àdìsá Johnson Olúbùnmi Okunola lọ. Ajá dúró nìkẹ́, ó ṣe lédè lẹ́yìn rẹ̀. Àwọn ọmọ gbogbo wọn pátápátá, wọ́n ṣe lédè lẹ́yìn rẹ̀. Sí nẹ́fà dàtí dágbére fáyé ó dìbà.
Ẹ kú kàlẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ wo ọkùnrin obìnrin ọmọdé àti àgbà olólùfẹ́ yín ìbùkún olúwa ọmọ Sànúsí tí ẹ mọ̀ sí Àpèkẹ́ tún dé pẹ̀lú àrà ọ̀tọ̀ àlọ́ tó kún fún ọgbọ́n òye àti ọ̀rọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ẹ máa bá wa ká lọ. Àṣà Yorùbá kò mọ̀ ní parun.
Láìpẹ́ ìsìn àárọ̀ parí, onílé re ilé, ọkùnrin yìí dúró kò lọ. Nígbà tí ó rí i pé gbogbo ènìyàn lọ tán pátápátá, ó lọ sí ibi tí àwọn àlùfáà máa ń dúró sí. Ó kúnlẹ̀ ó sì dojú bolẹ̀. Ó gbàdúrà gbígbóná sí Ọlọ́run. Lẹ́yìn náà ó bá ilé lọ. Kò pẹ́ púpọ̀ tí ó dé ilé tí ọba fi ránṣẹ́ sí i kí ó wá rí òun. Òun sì lọ. Nígbà tí ó dé ọ̀hún, ọba sọ fún gbogbo àwọn tí ó wà lọ́dọ̀ rẹ̀ kí wọ́n jáde. Wọ́n sì ṣe gẹ́gẹ́ bí àṣẹ ọba. Nígbà tí wọ́n lọ tán ni ọba dìde lórí ìtẹ́ rẹ̀. Ó ṣí gbogbo fèrèsé ilé àti ilẹ̀kùn pẹ̀lú. Gbogbo ilé ṣókùnkùn dúdú. Àrò fẹ̀yìntì ó ń wo iṣẹ́ ìdáná, àdándoríkodò ń wo iṣẹ́ ẹyẹ. Ọkùnrin náà dúró sínú òkùnkùn biribiri ó ń retí ohun tí yóò bá òun. Láìpẹ́ ìró ẹsẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí í dún káàkiri ilé yìí bí ìró ẹsẹ̀ ẹgbẹ̀rún ènìyàn. Ilẹ̀ ilé náà àti ògiri rẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí í mì. Atẹ́gùn ń fẹ́, gbogbo ilé sì ń pariwo. Bó tó àkókò wàyí náà tí màlẹ́kà ni yóò fi ara rẹ̀ hàn bí ìránṣẹ́ Ọlọ́run ọ̀gá àgọ́. Lẹ́yìn eléyìí ni ìdákẹ́rọ́rọ́ dé, ìmọ́lẹ̀ ńlá sì tàn yí ilé náà ká. Gbogbo ọkùnrin náà sì gbé ojú rẹ̀ sókè ó rí. Màlẹ́kà ní ti yá rẹ̀ padà kúrò nínú ipò ọba yìí, ó fi ara rẹ̀ hàn bí ìránṣẹ́ ọba ọ̀run. Aṣọ rẹ̀ funfun bí ẹ̀gbọ̀n òwú, ẹyin lójú rẹ̀ sì mọ́ gaara bí òkúta olówó iyebíye. Ara rẹ̀ dàbí ara ọmọ kékeré, bàtà rẹ̀ sì ń dán bí idẹ. Ẹ̀rù bà ọkùnrin yìí púpọ̀. Ó ṣubú lulẹ̀ ó sì fi ọwọ́ bo ojú. Màlẹ́kà náà sì yà ẹnu rẹ̀ wípé, èmi ni ọ̀kan nínú àwọn màlẹ́kà méje nì tí máa dúró níwájú Ọlọ́run. Nígbà tí ìwọ jẹ tán, tí ìwọ mu tán, tí o gbàgbé ẹni tí ó dá ọ, ṣe bí òun kò rí ọ ni. Kò sí ohun kan tí Ọlọ́run kì í mọ̀, òun ló dá gbogbo nǹkan. Ṣùgbọ́n ìwọ dìde, òun hùwà bí aláìronú, òun sọ̀rọ̀ bí aláìmọ̀ye, títí inú fi bí ẹlẹ́dàá rẹ̀ sí ọ. Ó pè mí, ó rán mi kí n gba ipò rẹ̀. Ó sì pàṣẹ fún mi pé èmi kò gbọ́dọ̀ pa ọ́, ṣùgbọ́n bí ìwọ bá fi àìṣedéédé rẹ sílẹ̀, kí n fi ipò rẹ padà fún ọ. Níwọ̀n bí ìwọ sì ti ronúpìwàdà lónìí, tí ìwọ rántí ẹlẹ́dàá rẹ̀, n kò ní bínú sí ọ mọ́ nítorí aláàánú ni òun ṣe. Ǹjẹ́ mo pàṣẹ fún ọ nísinsìnyí ní orúkọ Ọlọ́run àwọn ọmọ ogun. Dídé, bọ́ sí orí ìtẹ́ rẹ sì máa jẹ ọba rẹ lọ. Bí ìwọ bá lo àǹfààní rẹ ní rere, yóò pẹ́ lọ́rọ̀ rẹ, ṣùgbọ́n bí o kò bá lò lọ́nà tí ó yẹ, Ọlọ́run yóò gba ìjọba náà padà lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀. Bí màlíkà yìí ti parí ọ̀rọ̀ rẹ̀ tán, ó lọ sí ilé rẹ̀ ní ìsálú ọ̀run. Ọba sì bá ara rẹ̀ lórí ìtẹ́. Ó dàbí ti àtẹ̀yìnwá. Ẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run bà á gidigidi. Báyìí ni ìtàn náà lọ, ẹ̀yin ọ̀rẹ́ mi tí ẹ wá sí òkè Láńgbòdo. Ajá kò lè pa ẹran tán kí ó gbàgbé ẹni tí ó ní. Òun á kò sì lè ṣe ẹṣin lọ́ṣọ̀ọ́ tán kí ó gbàgbé ẹni. Ẹni tí a bá ṣe lóore tí kò mọ̀, wọ́n ń sọ àǹfààní iwájú nù. Nítorí náà bí ó bá dẹ̀ wá lọ́rùn tán, ẹ jẹ́ kí a rántí Ọlọ́run wa. Nígbà tí Ìrágbèjí parí ìtàn rẹ̀ yìí, ó wí fún wa kí a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí di ẹrù wa, kí a bá wa máa lọ sí ààfin, nítorí ní ọjọ́ kejì ni a ó kúrò ní òkè Láńgbòdo tí a ó sì padà sí ìlú wa. Lóòótọ́ a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí di ẹrù wa sì kúrò ní aago 7 alẹ́ ní ọjọ́ keje tí a dé ọ̀dọ̀ Ìrágbèjí ní ilé olójúlé méje. A lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ ọba òkè Láńgbòdo. Nígbà tí a dé ọ̀hún tí a ránṣẹ́ lọ sọ fún ọba, ó pàṣẹ kí wọ́n mú wa lọ sí gbọ̀ngàn ìdájọ́ ọ̀hún, níbi tí wọ́n tan onírúurú iná tí ó sì mọ́lẹ̀ kedere. Òun pàápàá dé sí ọ̀dọ̀ wa ní agogo 7 alẹ́ géré. Nígbà tí ó sì kí wa tán, ó fi ẹ̀bùn wọ̀nyí ránṣẹ́ sí ọba wa: òrùka dáyámọ́ndì 6, ẹ̀wọ̀n wúrà 6, adé ìlẹ̀kẹ̀ 6, ọ̀pá ìtìlẹ̀ 6, tìmùtìmù aláwọ̀ 6, àwọn oríṣi ohun ọ̀ṣọ́ ilé 6 àti bíbélì 6 ní oríṣi èdè 6. Lẹ́yìn èyí ni ó fi ìwé kan fún wa tí wọ́n fi àdàpọ̀ omi wúrà àti fàdákà kọ. Ó wí fún wa pé kí a fi fún ọba wa ọ̀hún, ohun tí wọ́n sì kọ sínú ìwé náà ni èyí: òkè Láńgbòdo, ọjọ́ 22 oṣù keje ní 527 lẹ́yìn ikú Olúwa wa. Sí ọba ìlú àwọn akọni wọ̀nyí: Kàkó, Ìmọ̀dóyè, Àkàrà Oògùn, Ọlọ́run iyọ̀, Elégbèdè ọdẹ, Ìfò ìyẹ́, Àràmọ̀ǹdà ọkùnrin. Àwọn oníṣẹ́ yín dé ọ̀dọ̀ mi ní àlàáfíà, èmi náà sì yọ̀ púpọ̀ nígbà tí mo rí wọn. Mo fi àwọn ẹ̀bùn kékeré wọ̀nyí ránṣẹ́ sí yín ní 6 gẹ́gẹ́ bí àṣà Yorùbá ní ayé àtijọ́ àti nígbà mìíràn ní ayé ìsinsìnyí pẹ̀lú. Mo ṣe èyí láti fi hàn yín pé mo fi ẹ̀fà fà yín mọ́ra. Ìmọ̀ràn mi nípa ti ìlọsíwájú ìlú yín ni èyí pé ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn ará ìlú yín ní ìfẹ́, kí wọ́n bá lè ní ìtìjú. Bí wọ́n bá jẹ́ onítìjú ènìyàn, wọn kò ní jalè, wọn kò ní ìṣòro, wọn kò ní ṣèké, wọn kò ní ṣàìgbọràn, wọn kò ní gbéraga. Ọmọdé yóò máa bu ọlá fún àgbà, àgbà yóò sì máa ṣe ìtọ́jú ọmọdé. Kò ní sí ìwà búburú kan lọ́wọ́ wọn. Wọn yóò fẹ́ràn Ọlọ́run, wọn yóò sì fẹ́ràn yín pẹ̀lú. Ẹ bá mi kí àwọn ènìyàn yín. Èmi ni ti yín tòótọ́, ọba òkè Láńgbòdo. A sùn ní ààfin mọ́jú ọjọ́ náà. Nígbà tí ó sì di òwúrọ̀ ọjọ́ kejì, ọba fi ẹ̀bùn púpọ̀ fún olúkúlùkù wa. A sì kó ẹsẹ̀ sí ọ̀nà, à ń lọ sí ìlú wa. N kò ní lè sọ ohun tí ojú wa rí ní ìrìn àjò wa tí a bọ̀ yìí fún yín, nítorí yóò ti pọ̀ jù. Dájúdájú ohun ẹ̀dùn ni yóò jẹ́ fún yín láti gbọ́ pé kì í ṣe gbogbo wa tí a kúrò ní òkè Láńgbòdo ni a tún padà dé ìlú wa. Ṣùgbọ́n kí ni ọ̀rọ̀ náà ti ṣe rí bẹ́ẹ̀? Ìdí ìparun ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ kò ju ìgbéraga lọ. Òmùgọ̀ ayé ni onígbéraga ẹ̀ṣẹ̀. Òun ní èrò pé ìgbà tí òun bá lo ìwà ìgbéraga òun ní ayé, yóò tó gbé òun ga. Òun kò mọ̀ pé àkókò náà gan ni ẹ̀tẹ́ tó lè tẹ́ òun. Bẹ́ẹ̀ nìkan bá gbéraga, ilẹ̀ ni yóò lọ. Bí ilé kan bá gbéraga, rúré ni yóò tú. Bí ìlú kan bá gbéraga, kíákíá ni yóò di ẹrú orílẹ̀-èdè mìíràn. Bí ìjọba ńlá kan bá sì gbéraga, ẹyẹ kò sọkà ni àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè abẹ́rẹ́ yóò túká mọ́ ọ lójú. Nígbà tí ìgbéraga dé sí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nínú àwọn èrò òkè Láńgbòdo wọn ni wọn kò gba ìmọ̀ràn ẹlòmíràn mọ́. Ìrẹ́pọ̀ ti sá lọ kúrò lọ́dọ̀ wọn, olúkúlùkù ṣe bí ó ti fẹ́ ni. Ṣùgbọ́n gẹ́gẹ́ bí àṣà ẹlẹ́dàá wa, ọ̀nà méjì ni òun máa ń gbà fi jẹ ẹlẹ́ṣẹ̀ ní ìyà. Yálà kí ó jẹ olúwa rẹ̀ ní ìyà kíákíá, tàbí kí ó kọ ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ olúwa rẹ̀ sílẹ̀ nínú ìwé ìrántí. Ṣùgbọ́n òun kò ṣe bí ti èyí tí mo sọ kẹ́yìn yìí. Wéréwéré ni ó fi ìyà jẹ wọ́n. Nígbà tí a dé odò Ẹ̀jẹ̀, a a bá àwọn iwin níbi tí wọ́n ti ń ṣeré nítorí ọjọ́ náà ní olókun. Iwin tí í ṣe alákòóso mi ń ṣe ọdún. Kàkó tọ̀ àwọn iwin wọ̀nyí lọ, ó ń bá wọn ṣeré. Ó wí fún un kí ó máa lọ, kò gbọ́. Nígbà tí ó sì pẹ́ tí àwọn iwin wọ̀nyí lọ sí ìsàlẹ̀ odò ẹ̀jẹ̀, òun náà lọ pẹ̀lú wọn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni a kò gbúròó Kàkó mọ́ di òní olónìí. Èfo èyí àti elégbèdè ọdẹ sọ pé wọ́n fẹ́ lọ ṣe ọdẹ. Wọ́n di iwin sínú igbó, a kò sì rí wọn mọ́. Nígbà tí a sì dé ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn àgbánigan obìnrin, àràmọ̀dá ọkùnrin jókòó tì wọ́n, ó ní òun kò bá wa lọ mọ́. Ṣùgbọ́n ìmọ̀dóyè, olóhùn iyọ̀ àti èmi padà dé ilé kòkó, a sì dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run. Nígbà tí a dé ilé, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nínú àwọn tí a fi sílẹ̀ lọ ti kú. Àwọn tí kò tilẹ̀ kú kò tún mọ̀ wá mọ́ nítorí ọjọ́ pẹ́ tí a ti lọ. Nígbà tí a sì dé ọ̀dọ̀ ọba wa, ó ti darúgbó, ojú rẹ̀ sì ti di bàìbàì. Ó sì pẹ́ díẹ̀ kí òun tó mọ̀ wá. Ṣùgbọ́n nígbà jẹ́ tí a sì fi ẹ̀bùn àti ìwé tí ọba Òkèláńgbódò fi ránṣẹ́ sí i hàn. Ó yọ̀ púpọ̀, ó rọ̀ mọ́ wa lé ọrùn, ó kí wa dáadáa, ó fi ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ẹ̀bùn fún wa, a sì di olówó láti ọjọ́ náà wáyé. Báyìí ni ìtàn ìgbà tí mo lọ sí Òkèláńgbódò parí. Ẹ̀yin ọ̀rẹ́ mi gbogbo, ìbá tí n ó sọ fún ayé mọ́ lákòókò yìí ni èyí. Mo fẹ́ kí ẹ fi ìtàn ìgbésí ayé mi yìí ṣe àríkọ́gbọ́n kí ayé tí yín bá dára. Ó dìgbà, onílé re ilé o. Bí ọkùnrin náà ti sọ báyìí tán, a kò rí mọ́, ṣùgbọ́n a rí ìwé kékeré kan ní ilẹ̀. Ohun tí wọ́n kọ sínú ìwé náà ni èyí: àkàrà ògùn, bàbá òmúlẹ̀múfò. Ẹ̀yin ọkùnrin àti obìnrin ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, ọgbọ́n ọlọ́gbọ́n ni kì í jẹ́ kí a pe àgbà ní wèrè. Ẹ fi ìtàn inú ìwé yìí ṣe àríkọ́gbọ́n. Olúkúlùkù ni ó ní ìṣòro láti bá pàdé nínú ayé. Olúkúlùkù ni ó ní Òkèláńgbódò tirẹ̀ láti lọ. Olúkúlùkù ni ó sì ní ìdènà tirẹ̀ níwájú. Bí dídùn ti ń bẹ ní inú ayé, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kíkorò ń bẹ. Bí òní dùn, ọ̀la lè korò. Bí ọ̀la tún korò, ọ̀túnla lè dàbí oyin. Kọ́kọ́rọ́ ayé kò sí lọ́wọ́ ẹnìkan. Bí ẹ bá ti ń bá ìrìn àjò yín lọ nínú ayé, tí ẹ̀ ń ti orí dídùn bọ̀ ọ́ sí orí kíkan, ẹ máa gba ohun gbogbo tẹ̀ríntẹ̀rín, kí ẹ máa ṣe bí ọkùnrin, kí ẹ sì máa rántí pé ẹni tí ó bá ran rẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ni Ọlọ́run kì í ràn lọ́wọ́. Ìtàn mi parí náà wáyé. Kí o gba orógbó jẹ, kí o má ṣe gba obì jẹ, nítorí orógbó ní gbó wọn sí ayé, obì ní bì wọ́n sí ọ̀run. Ó dìgbà díẹ̀ náà. Mo rò pé ẹ ó tún máa rí ọwọ́ mi níjọ́ mìíràn. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n gbàdúrà fún yín kí n sì dá mọ́sù mẹ́ta. Ayé yóò yẹ yín. Orílẹ̀-èdè yín yóò túbọ̀ máa pọ̀ sí ní ọgbọ́n àti ní agbára. Àwa ènìyàn dúdú kò ní rí ẹ̀yìn mọ́ láéláé. Músò. Ẹ kú ìgbádùn ìtàn yìí o. D.O. Fágúnwà. Báyìí ni a ṣe parí ìtàn Ògbójú ọdẹ nínú igbó Irúnmọlẹ̀. Ìrìn àjò náà kí ó ní ìlàhílò tiẹ̀ nínú. Ó káyà wá sókè, ó ṣẹ̀rù bà wá. Ṣùgbọ́n gbogbo àwọn ohun ìbẹ̀rù tá a rí yìí kò tó nǹkan kan nínú ọgbọ́n tí a rí mú jáde nínú ìwé yìí. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọgbọ́n ń bẹ nínú ìwé yìí. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ òye sì ń bẹ nínú rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú. Màá rọ̀ wá pé ká tútù ìtàn yìí gbọ́, torí ìtàn náà jẹ́ ìtàn tí ò yẹ ká kàn gbọ́ lẹ́ẹ̀kan ká sì pàtì sẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ kan. Mo fẹ́ ká tún máa tún gbọ́ lágbọ́mọ̀. Apekeade lorúkọ mi o. Inú mi dùn, mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín pé ẹ bá mi rin ìrìn àjò dé òpin. Mo lérò pé tí má tó mú ìtàn mìíràn wá fún wa, tayọ̀tayọ̀ la máa bá mi fi gbà. Títí ó fi máa di ọjọ́ mi tí màá tún mú ìtàn mìíràn, ìtàn tuntun, ìtàn àkàgbádùn míì wá fún wa. Ẹ rántí pé rere ló pé ìkà ò pé. Ẹ máa rẹ́rìn-ín, ẹ jẹun dáadáa, kẹ́ ẹ máa sùn, ẹ rí pé ẹ mú mi, ẹ tọ́jú ara yín. Ẹni tó wà láyé ló ń gbé nǹkan rere ṣe o. Títí ìgbà mìíràn, ó dàbọ̀. Bí ọkùnrin yìí ṣe rí i pé nǹkan tó fa wàhálà tóun kó sí láti bí ọdún kan òun ní eléyìí, torí àfojúdi tí òun ṣe.
n ó kì í bí ọlọ́gbọ̀n wọ̀fà bàbá mi àdìsá àjí ọmọ lágbẹ̀dù ọmọ alèmúlera bọ́lọ́tì ìwú ọ̀tà kọ́ránni sálèmúlera ọmọ alèmúlera ọmọ anímù ọ̀lànlé bàbá alákólọ ọmọ ajíbọ́sìn ọmọ ọ̀sìnrádé ọmọ ẹ̀gbẹ́jì òun ọmọ akànlẹ̀kùn àlè bí ẹni tí kò lóbìnrin bẹ́ẹ̀ ni gbogbo aya ló kúnlé títí abiọ̀dẹ̀dẹ̀ gbọ́kọ sánlẹ̀ láì tẹ́ní ọmọ pánpátá bìyẹ́ fòfa ọmọ jẹ́pọ̀ olùsí kò sòní àyí ìfọ́ ọmọ orò tí mòmí tútù àdìsá àjí arìngbẹ̀dẹ̀ bí ẹni ẹ̀gbẹ́ ń dùn ẹ̀gbẹ́ òkúkú dùn rán bàbá wa ọlá ló sodo sí wa lára ọmọ ọ̀yọ̀kọ̀tọ̀ níkun ájìfà bàbá mi Johnson Òkúnlọlá Olúbùnmi Àdìsá ọkọ ìyá mi Grace Dúró Oríkẹ́ máa sinmi lọ láyà olùgbàlà bá a bá ń rebi àmọ́ dógún ọdún bá a bá ń ràjò àsìdọ́gbọ̀n oṣù ọ̀run nìkan ńlá rè mọ́bọ̀ èmi Olúwaṣèyí Akínwọnú Ọláyéròkun àti gbogbo ẹbí ló ń ṣeré lẹ́yìn rẹ̀ iwájú tẹ́ ẹ dojúkọ ibi ire ẹ̀yìn tẹ́ ẹ fi sílẹ̀ kọ́mọ̀ ṣe bàjẹ́ fún gbogbo wa Òkúnlọlá Àdìsá àjí ọmọ lágbẹ̀dù máa sinmi lọ láyè olùgbàlà ìpàdé tó dọjú àjíǹde sùn re o.
Johnson Olúbùnmi Òkúnlọlá ti dágbére fáyé ó dìgbà. Má ṣe ìgbà akọ́dúró rí dágbére fáyé ṣe ìgbà. Papa sílẹ̀ fàdà ẹ̀. Ó mà ṣe. Kòkòrò jẹ́ pẹ́jọ bí ògbó káká kẹ́. Ọmọ yẹ́rò kúrà tata ẹ̀. Àdìsá Johnson Olúbùnmi Òkúnọlá lọ. Ọkọ Grace Dúró Oríkẹ́ ọmọ wọn ní Ìbàdàn ní sọgọ ìyẹn nílé Olúyọ̀lé bíyàwó ẹ bá máa pé màmá Grace á ní olùbádámọ̀ràn mi olùrànlọ́wọ́ mi. Ṣọlẹ́dẹ̀ lẹ́yìn rẹ̀ sinẹ́fàdúrà. Aya Dúró Oríkẹ́ ó ṣẹlẹ́dẹ̀ lẹ́yìn rẹ̀. Àwọn ọmọ gbogbo wọn pátápátá wọ́n ṣẹlẹ́dẹ̀ lẹ́yìn rẹ̀. Sinẹ́fàdúrà ti dágbére fáyé ó dìgbà. Ìkúdòrò ó mẹ́kìnrin lọ Àdìsá Yẹ̀rọ̀kú ọkọ̀ Dúró Oríkẹ́ bàbá Yọ̀délé bàbá Fọláṣadé Abólúdọ̀tun ìpàdé dojú àlá ó tó dìgbà.
Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. My own name is Samuel Oludare Yerokun. I mean, if you've been connecting with us, obviously you will have seen me on the program severally. Many thanks to Lady IBK Sanusi, that is Apekeade. She's been the one rendering the Ogbojode, Igbo Erumale. That's the wonderful Yoruba literature book by D.O. Fagunwa. That has come to a conclusion today. And for our viewers, remember that you were the one that chose the Ogbojode Igbo Erumale. So we are throwing it back to you today for you to suggest the next uh, Yoruba literature book that you want us to read. The next one, please do send that to us. Leave it on the comment for us. Or if you go to OY Media Scotland on Facebook or YouTube, where you are watching us live now, you'll be able to send that message to us. So the question is, which Yoruba literature book do you want us to read next? So again, thank you very much, Lady IBK Sanusi Apekeade. We really appreciate your wonderful rendering of that book. And of course, we will appreciate you right from here, from OY Media Scotland. Next, we will be going to our next program, which is Consciousness, and that is talking about histories and basics of self-determination. And that is just to give us a session, an educative session, especially for the Yoruba people at this challenging time when there have been questions, or there have been slogans, or there have been agitations either for a country out of Nigeria, or a country with a nation within Nigeria, or even for those people that are shouting restructuring. So we want to look at what exactly is self-determination. What are the histories behind activities, international activities, which has led to self-determinations? Have we had even times when people voted to have independence and that was not recognized by international community? What are the pros and the cons? What are things that we need to take care of before going too far? Please do join us at the other hand, because right on there, we will be dealing with some of these questions. Please do stay on with us.
èmi ò lọ́nà méjì láyé tó dorin lọ orin ṣá ni iṣẹ́ mi ò tó dá mi lójú ẹ pè wá síbi ayẹyẹ ìyẹn nígbàkúgbà enjoyment is a player ó ṣíwọ́jò ọlá mi mẹ́tì ló ń pèdè ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ ìjòyà ọlá mi mẹ́tì ló ń pèdè ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ ìjòyà.
bọ̀bọ̀ alóyin lòun àpèdè má pè tànà ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ ròde ìbànújẹ́ èèwọ̀ òrìṣà ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́ba ń jó gbogbo wa ló mọ̀ yẹ ká mú pátì dùn ṣebí tiwa ni àrà ò ní tán nílé alára láíláí ilé mo borin ilé mo bálù àtàndá ti ṣẹ́kọ̀ náà ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń fẹ́ wa ẹ̀ máa ṣe gan-an.
Right, thank you for joining us on Consciousness. And last week we started a discussion regarding Yoruba referendum. And we didn't actually pick it as Yoruba referendum, but we did title it History and Basics of Self-Determination. And that is what I'm going to continue on this part today. Remember, every two weeks we have the coordinator of Yoruba Referendum Committee is always here next every 2 weeks. So he will be here next week, Sunday. And also remember, we have programs going on here on Saturdays. For those that connected with us yesterday, we had His Royal Highness Oba Bola Akanbi Timson, and that is the Jagumolo third of Somolu Bariga. He was on the program with Lola Maja, that is on Lola's Reality yesterday, and of course we also had Mrs. Stella Giwa yesterday. So please do stay on to us on Saturdays. That's about 2 p.m. and of course on Sundays starting from 5:40. Now let's get back to this history and basics of self-determination. Last week we were talking about the basics of self-determination because as much as things are being spoken about, we won't say there are many options for us in Yoruba land. There are not many options, but there are a few options. And I will start from the worst. And why I'm saying the worst is that so that we know where we're going. The worst option is for us to go to war. And that should be considered as the last resort. I mean, if it's worth it. So if we think that, yes, we've got enough arms and ammunition and we are ready to take on the federal government of Nigeria in order to seek Yoruba liberation, yeah, if we have enough able men and, of course, enough ammunition, then, yeah, let's go for it. But the narratives out there, many people are saying, no, we don't want to go to war, including Baba Pa Aketoye. They said, no, this is not about going to war. I've also heard Sunday Igboho also saying that, listen, we are not fighting, we are only demanding for our rights. So the worst option for us, that is war. And we find out that with the exception of few people out there on the streets, most of the people that are leading are saying that we should not go to war because it is after the war that you'll be able to count your casualties. So that is one. Then if we go to the next one, which is another liberation that is being pushed forward by some of the leaders, and of course also leaders of opinion, both political leaders, community leaders, and leaders of opinion. People are talking about restructuring. And with restructuring, people are asking more questions. What type of restructuring are you talking about? Even the Senate and House of Rep up there, Abuja, they're also talking about, yeah, we can restructure, we can adjust the 1999 Constitution for us to get that restructuring. But many people are saying that the federal government, and I mean, you don't want to, we don't want to actually say, I mean, you don't want to say people don't know what they're doing, or you don't want to say they don't know what they are saying. But it's very clear that people are saying with the 1999 Constitution, there is no way, there's nothing you can do with that documentation to say that you want to switch it and go for you to get something tangibly positive out of it. That is impossible. So when they talk about restructuring, people don't want the restructuring that is being done by either APC, when APC got into government, El-Rufai led a committee which was asked to look into restructuring of the country. But then when the report came out, many people were not in line with it. So the restructuring with the 1999 Constitution, people are also not happy with it. One of the things people have raised is the issue about police, that even if you give state police, the system we have on at the moment where the political representatives are not answerable to the people. Now, if you put police in the hands of such state executives, there's the possibility a very high probability that they will misuse that police force. I wouldn't mention just Oyo State alone, but I'm from Oyo State, so it's good for me to make an example from my state. Now, the last I think it's local government chairmanship election, people were killed. We're talking about election at the local level, and I think it's still around, I think, Shaki area, that upper Ibarakpa Shaki, and it's just one political party, and people were still killed. Now, if you put the police as the structure is now, and you put a state police in the hands of the state executive or the local government executive, without actually changing the system, definitely this is what we're going to face. Those people will be using the security forces against their own people. That's the concern people have raised. And I must be honest with you, I align with them as well. Because at the moment, we do not have a system which makes a political representative responsible and accountable to the public, to the people who voted them in place. So it's quite understandable why people felt that the restructuring most people are talking about will not resolve. I mean, just straight one, creating state police and co, that is just going to be misused by the people here. But when the system is changed, and one of the wives of Chief MKO Abiola, late Chief MKO Abiola, did mention this, that there was a meeting they were doing at the time, and they were trying to get like a sort of an agreement for the next political dispensation for Nigeria. And one of the few things they were proposing was, first of all, like banning anyone that has been in the military, banning them from political positions. So, and I will add to that I think any politicians who, either directly or indirectly, that their own political career or journey has led to the death of any member of the public, they should never ever be allowed to hold public office. We can't be having criminals, we can't be having fraudsters in government, and we expect them to do the right thing for the people. We can be expecting anyone that has a criminal issue, the thuggery, until we change that, until the system makes the right to be accountable to the people, then nothing is going to happen. And I think that is why majority of people actually they believe that they've had enough of the Nigerian state as is, and that's why they are calling for a Yoruba nation. Before I jump into the topic, I would also like to clarify that side as well. When it comes to Yoruba nation, there are some people other that believe that, listen, we can't have Yoruba nation now, because if we have it now, it's the same thing that is happening with the Nigerian system, where the political bigwigs are taking advantage of everyone. That is exactly what is going to happen in the Yoruba nation if we have it now, because at the moment, they are the one that has the money, they are the one that has the power. And they are the one also, and when you talk about power, it's not just money, they are also the ones that have been funding the talks that are disturbing the peace of the community. So until we find a means, we can't just get Yorubas now. We need to talk about it. We need to talk about the system we want. We need to talk about what is going to happen with all our youths that have become social liabilities because of many and several years of abandonment by government at all levels. So they've been out there sourcing for their own life in whichever way they know. We need to talk about it. How do we ensure that they are rehabilitated? How do we? I mean, some couple of years we were talking about the youth in the north, but the north never listened. Today, those youths have become members of Boko Haram. We have lots of banditry. We have the ones that are called the headers, the terrorists, and co. So, if we come right back to Yoruba Nation as well, isn't that what we are? We are also brewing. We are brewing these youths. The ones that can go out there and destroy things. We're encouraging them. The politicians are giving them money. In fact, some of them that are talks, I mean, you have election, they go and disrupt the place. You find some of our musical giants, and those are artists, singers. They are singing their praise, singing the praise of somebody that is a thought that is disturbing the public peace. So it has to change. The Omoluabi we're talking about the Yorubas. I mean, we have to maybe we have to redefine it, because those that we celebrate in Yoruba land today, 80% of them should never ever be a role model for the children. So, but let's get back to what we're really talking about, which is history and basis of self-determination. So last week, no, not last week, 2 weeks back, my apologies for that. One of the first things we identify is that every ethnic group, every single ethnic group has a right to self-determination. Yoruba, whether you are Yoruba or Igbo or Biafra or Efik or Hausa or Fulani, each one of them, they've got a right to self-determination. And self-determination is for those people to decide how they want to be ruled. I won't use rule. I will change that word, because you identify rule with dictators. So how they want to be governed, what sort of society they want. They want to select their own representatives, and they want to have their own policy. What type of education they want, what type of health system they want. So those people have a right to decide that we as Yoruba, this is what we want. And that's exactly what happened during the Chief Obafemi Awolowo right down there in 1960s, where we had the regional government, where the Western region went and gave free education to all its children. Why the North said no, they are not doing it. The East said no, it can't happen. But later they saw it happening, and majority of them moved downwards into the Western region to enjoy the same thing. They said it's impossible to actualize. So, but what we're saying is every of those ethnic group has a right. That's one of the points we had in our last discussion. Now, the second point from our last discussion is that right to self-determination is not absolute. That you have a right to self-determination does not mean that it is absolute, that you will always get it. And I'll use an example. If someone has committed crime and the person is arrested and jailed, that means the person's freedom is restricted. But of course, that person has a right of freedom. But because the person has done something, he's trampled on the rights of others, and by the law of the land, that freedom that he has is taken away when that individual is put in the prison. So that's just a simple example. Now that we have rights to the self-determination, it also means that, and there are, I think, about 2, 3, if not more countries that have even had a sort of referendum that they were, yes, they voted yes, but then they never had that freedom. Not only um, was it that they did not have that freedom, the international body, which is the UN, did not even recognize them, despite the fact that they had that referendum. And that's part of what I said last week. I kept on saying last week, 2 weeks ago, my apologies, was that if the federal government, for an example, or the central government, could show that by letting that people exit out of the country, that is going to breach the territorial integrity of the whole country, then the international body will not support the secession of this other ethnic group. Now, we're putting this on the program so that those people that are strategizing for Yoruba nation, or maybe probably other nations within Nigeria, should take cognizance of these. They should sit back and look at all this information, and you can always find it if you look for it, to get this information so that when they are directing our people, they'll be able to direct them right on what is achievable and what is not achievable. Much appreciation to Baba Professor Akitoye. I mean, he's done a lot and he's doing a lot. When this group gave the 90-day ultimatum to the federal government, some people that were following the narrative believed that at the expiration of that 90 days, Yoruba is no longer within Nigeria, that Yoruba will no longer respect the constitution of Nigeria. That was the expectation. Their hopes were so high that they believed that once it's 90 days, that is it. We will take over our borders and our airport and stuff and things like that. And for some of us that were at the background, we were trying to tell people that there's always a process. It will never happen that way. But then it seems like the message never got through. I mean, people were hearing it, but people decide that no, you people are probably saying rubbish. But then the 90 days came, and the 90 days has gone. Yoruba is still within Nigeria. We're still under the constitution of Nigeria. Our governors are still taking money from the center. We still have representatives, the two houses, the lawmakers at Abuja. We still have them there. We still have the police, Nigerian police. We still have them in our region and co. So it's always very good that when our leaders of thought and leaders of all these movements and causes and agitations, that they're able to tell people, try to let people know clearly what should be the expectation. Otherwise, it will backfire and everybody will be affected. So the first one is every ethnic group has a right to self-determination. But the second one is that that right is not absolute. There are processes and there are things to do. And even where a referendum has gone ahead, has been challenged by the central government or was not recognized, there have been some couple of countries which had a referendum. Their central government never agreed with it, and the United Nations as the international body also did not recognize it because some things were not done the way they should be done. I'll go to a sort of a full step by step of what should be done. But before I get to that place, let's take the case of Catalonia. When you look at Catalonia, in 2014, they had what they can call, well, they want to call it referendum, but it was changed later. The name was changed later because It was just done within like their region. Please bear in mind that Catalan, that is Catalonia, they already have a sort of a region, which is just like their own government, like we had regional government in those days. So even Nigeria is not even there. We don't have regional government now, but Catalonia, they had it then. So they thought that, okay, since we have it, why don't we now have a vote to be on our own? Because after Catalonia had its own like region, it was flourishing. Just like we had Western region in those days. It was flourishing. So they thought that, okay, we can be on our own. Let's vote. When they wanted to vote, the main government said no. That is Spain. The Spanish government said no. Later, they changed the name because then it wouldn't be a referendum. It became something like just taking the people's opinion. Now, when they took the opinion of the people, then the government said, okay, no, they are going to block it. So they now say, okay, it's just a participation process. It's just to check to check the people, to see what people want. So that means even something like that cannot be a recognized referendum. But then they just decide that, okay, they want to, they want to have what it feels. What do people think? So this was set in place on the 9th of November, 2014. And on the ballot, there will be questions. And the question they have was, do you want Catalonia to become a state? That is one. And do you want this state to be independent? So this is where the problem arose then, because the central government was able to challenge them that the first question, yes, you have people that will support it, that do you want Catalonia to become a state, is a yes or no. The second question, do you want this state to be independent, that cuts off all the people that said no. So that means all the people that voted no were cut off from the second exercise. So it became an issue. And while they tried to push it to say, okay, let's try to this is what the people are saying. The central government in Spain was saying, listen, that does not represent citizens' participation, because you cut off a substantial number of people. Now, this was the same thing we raised when one of our groups, and I would say our group as Yoruba group, that doesn't mean that I'm involved. One of our groups said they were going to conduct referendum on June 12th. That was just yesterday. And we're telling them that, listen, things are not done this way. One of the key things that we're not taking cognizance of in Yoruba land, and I want us to take note of this very well. When there's a referendum, I've mentioned, to get self-determination, the worst option is to go to war. So if we know that we're not going to go to war, then okay, let's do the other option, which is securing the voice of the people. Because when it comes to referendum or self-determination, it's not your leaders that will speak for you. What the leaders do, the political leaders, the ones that are very strategic, what they want is to harvest the voices of the people and then take it forward that this is the voices of our people. This is the common voice of our people. What we have now, I'm afraid, is a group telling us that this is what Yoruba wants. Of course, we saw all the people that are on the streets and go, but that's just slogans, what they call sloganeering. All those has to be harvested, those voices, we've got to harvest them in a constitutional recognized way in which we're able to present it before the international body in case the Nigerian government wants to oppose it or to attack it. It will be the voice of the people. We won't be talking that, oh, is the voice of one leader of Afenifere, or this is the voice of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or this is the voice of Baba, or even the VP, Oshibajo, or Baba Adebanjo, or this. It won't be about them. It will be about the people. And that's what we're talking about here. So the one with the Catalonia, if you are following the histories, that is 2014. They now had a referendum in 2017. And in that 2017, if you care to know, one, Spain did not recognize it, but also the international body, the United Nations, did not recognize it. Why? There is still the issue that people that are opposed, you can, when you are within, if you're talking about democracy, things have to be done differently. If we are talking about military rule, autocracy, yeah, you can just say, okay, this is what we are saying, and anybody that don't want to follow us, then you are damned. And that's also what we're correcting our people at home. Yoruba nation now, wonderful. We want a Yoruba nation, fine. But there will be people that do not want Yoruba nation. They have to be given the space to say why they do not want the Yoruba nation. We need to listen to them. It's democracy. What happened in Catalonia was the fact that people that do not want that independent state, the report was that they did not come out to vote. So because they did not vote, that reduced the percentage of the number of people who voted for that independence. So, and there has to be a certain percentage of the population of your people that must vote. I hope we're getting it. So we've appealed to our people that are home. You want Yoruba nation now? Fine. Tell us why you want the Yoruba nation. Bring your, how do we put it? Campaign about it. Tell us what is good about it. But do not stop those people who think that, no, we can't have it now. Because if you block them and you start to insult them, you abuse them, you are not giving them a voice to talk, and it's a democracy, whatever you come up with, the United Nations will not recognize it. Go and check history. They have to be given their own space. I'm in Scotland. We had the Scotland referendum in 2014. We had people from both sides. People who want Scottish independence, people that do not want. They were given the platform. Even there were TV debates between the two sides. Now, you want it. What do you think we will benefit from it? You said you don't want it. Why? And you'll be so surprised. People will come up with wonderful points. If, for instance, the one in Nigeria, the Yoruba, because I'm a member of Yoruba referendum committee that we're looking at the proper way to do things so that we won't put the cart before the horse. It won't be after we have lost lives of our people, preventable deaths, then we'll still come back to what we should do in the first instance. So we speak to a lot of people. We meet in groups. We'll tell people things. People talk to us. Like I've mentioned earlier, some people believe that if you have Yoruba nation now, these politicians, the rest of us are poor. These politicians are the ones that have money. So they will still be the one that will be controlling that Yoruba nation. They are the ones that control the talks. They pay talks. Why the rest of us do not have security, they have. They are the same one that have been in government, whether before or even now, that have refused to give us proper roads, for which they were given money. For so number of years, these same people have been unable to provide pipe-borne water. They were collecting security votes. They were unable to give us security. The only thing we hear about them is they do wedding for their children in Dubai. They go all over the world. Their children are not in Nigeria for education. All their children are abroad. They live in luxury. So it's still the same people that will still lead us when we get to the Yoruba nation, because they will be the ones that they consider as political leaders. They will be the ones that they will bring together to come and talk and make decisions over us. So what's going to change? And to be fair to these people that have this mind, yes, it's something that we need to resolve. If we are having a Yoruba nation now, there has to be discussions. What nation? So that is one, that is the same politicians that are representing the Yoruba people at Abuja, and they are messing things up. They will still be the ones that will be in charge. Secondly, I've spoken about the police. Many people believe that those same people will be the one controlling the police, because we do not have yet a system which makes a political representative answerable and accountable to the public. Now, there are other people. I received a document today. It was just someone's response to what is happening in some areas. And what the person said was that when they talk about Nigeria is rich, now exactly what wealth are you talking about? And the person was able to point to some other countries. Their GDP are higher than that of Nigeria. Their budget per year, their budgets are higher than that of Nigeria, and they don't have as many people, population-wise, as Nigeria. And meanwhile, all those nations, they are not shouting that, yes, we are wealthy, we have rich, we have everything. But that Nigeria, with more people per what comes in, we are always the one that is shouting that, yes, we are rich, we are wealthy, we have everything. And so there will be some people that have done a sort of in-depth analysis. And it will be at the backdrop of that they are saying that, I'm sorry, I can't support Yoruba nation now until somebody is able to tell me, what are we going to get? And that's what Chief Femi Falana said. You are just saying Yoruba nation now, Yoruba. Yes. But then, you've not presented anything. How? Yoruba nation, how? What are the plans? What can we afford to do? What will be our population in the short term, the mid-term, and the long term? You've not presented anything to us. You are just shouting Yoruba nation, Yoruba nation. It's never done that way. And I believe that those of us that are, Yoruba, they said, we all have parts to play. But those of the people that are exposed, that have even helped other nations. You know, some of us abroad, there are some of us that have been involved with other nations when they are doing their referendums. There are lots of Nigerians, Yoruba people that are in government. You have those in government in US, in UK, in other parts of Europe. You have people in the health services. You have people almost in all public agencies of Western countries, and they are doing very well. So why can't those people now talk about the way things are done so that we don't waste our youth, and we don't waste our energy, we don't waste our resources, and we don't waste the lives of our youths? So I've used Catalonia as an example. There's another, I've forgotten the name of this country. Let's see whether I'll find it. There's another country like that. They had an independence, but it was not recognized. I hope I'll be able to get it. It was not recognized. So is not, I don't think we'll be helping our people if we kept on telling them that, okay, this is just going to happen like that. It's not going to happen that way. So markets, because the aspect we're talking about now is that if it's a democracy, if the other people that do not support the Yoruba now we are shouting about is normal, you can't have 100% of the people supporting something. Votes, even, I mean, let's look at the elections that we do in the country. The election we do in the country, is it everyone that votes for Buhari? No. Our state governors, did we all vote for them? No, they look at the majority, and then they take the majority that, okay, this is the majority of the people that have voted. Any democratic process where the opposition or the other people that does not align with this one, anywhere where they are not, apologies for that, any area where those other people are not allowed to give their voice, it will affect the United Nations recognition of the result of such process. So people should know. Let other people talk. Let them tell us why they don't support it. Then we'll go for referendum, and then from the referendum, the majority, let them vote that no, they don't want. The people that want, let them also vote that they want, and then the majority will carry the votes. That's democracy. So we need to change the narrative. That's basically what I'm saying. If people say, I don't support this thing, no, try to, tell them your own facts, why it is beneficial to us to have the Yoruba nation. Talk to them. Let them also talk to you why they think we can't have it now. Along the line, we'll see, if you watch some of the international other countries, you find out that the week leading to the date to vote, you have people that are surveying. You begin to see that the graph is changing as people are jumping. Maybe people are finding out, okay, I think we can have that referendum now. So they will move to yes. Then you might have other people that say, okay, I think what this other person told me, I think it is important. Then they will move to the other side. That's how democracy works. So we shouldn't be abusing people, insulting people, blocking them. In fact, when you block them, you don't allow them to talk. That's the excuse that the federal government will use against Yoruba nation. That, well, United Nations, these people is a democracy, but they never allowed other people that have a different view to talk. So how are you going to achieve that when they've been able to show that the 2 weeks ago I mentioned this, and I think earlier today I mentioned it as well, that if the federal government is able to show that by allowing that ethnic community to go and secede and become an independent country, if they are able to show that it will affect the territorial integrity of the main country, if they're able to present that evidence before United Nations, United Nations will not support that country that is seceding. Go and check, go and find out yourself. So if for the Catalonia one, the Spanish government was able to show that other people who do not want a separate nation were not allowed to even come and vote. So their voices were not heard. And if you follow the news, the leader of the Catalonia struggle, I mean, he was jailed. And he spoke of recent to say that, in fact, I think we put that thing somewhere. Let me look for it. He said they will have done things differently. And this is what we've been saying. Things that we need to do and we are failing to do now. Is it after they've killed some of our people that we will do it? Or is it after we spend money, we've spent energy, we've wasted resources, then we will now come back to it and say, okay, now let's do it. Then you begin to look like, why do we have to waste the life of our people? I will let me look for it, because I just want us to be able to get this properly. It was in our okay, I'll ask them to look that for me. But what the jailed leader, I think they jailed about 9 of them, if I'm correct. The United Nations did not go there to go and rescue them. In fact, you hardly really hear the United Nations saying that, oh, you are the human rights of these people is being breached or blah blah. You don't hear them talking about that. It is now the jailed leader of the Catalonia struggle who is saying that, yeah, we understand that maybe we'll have done things differently. In fact, he specifically mentioned those people that did not support independence, which were not allowed to bring their views out because people were attacking them. There was violence. So those people stayed at home. They didn't come out to vote. The jail leader specifically mentioned that they even realized that within the Catalonia itself, there are some people that did not support that move, that they should have engaged with them more and in other ways. So it took, for the struggle, for the Catalonia struggle, some people were killed, many things were destroyed. Now the leaders are jailed, and it was until when they are jailed, they now begin to think that, oh, we should have done this thing differently. We should have allowed the other people, even although they didn't support it, we will have allowed them to also have their voices. Definitely, if we are going to do this thing again, we're going to do it differently. Now, that's putting the cart before the horse. And that's why we're trying to tell our people, and when I say our people, I'm talking specifically to Yoruba people, because that's my constituency. We should do things the way it should be done. Now, the Catalonia we're talking about now, it has a region like we had in the 60s. And still yet, they were able to take some steps. The central government did not recognize it. The United Nations did not recognize it. Those people were jailed, and nobody is fighting for them because they didn't do what they should have done in the first place. Ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, wọ́n ní ọgbọ́n ọlọ́gbọ́n ó ní kò kí ń jẹ́ ká pe àgbà ní wèrè. This is what we are telling our people now. Let's learn from the mistakes of others. I also mentioned to us, I just have to repeat this one as well, that in the United Nations Charter, a member of the United Nations, if any group attacks that member, the member nation is allowed to attack back. That's what some of the central governments use. The central government, when you do something and they attack you back, they will say it's in the United Nations Charter that yes, any member nation, if it's attacked, that member nation can also attack back. So we should get to know this very well. Histories and basic of self-determination. We'll go for a shorter break now, and when I come back, we'll try to tie this up. So please do stay on with us. This is OY Media Scotland, and my name is Samuel Oludare Jirokun. So please do stay on with us. We'll be right back.
èmi ò lọ́nà méjì láyé tó dorin lọ orin ṣá ni iṣẹ́ mi ò tó dá mi lójú ẹ pè wá síbi ayẹyẹ ìyẹn nígbàkúgbà Engagement is a player o oṣù ọjọ́ ọlá mi mẹ́tì ló ń pèdè ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ o ìjòyà ọlá mi mẹ́tì ló ń pèdè ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ ìjòyà.
ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ bọ̀bọ̀ alóyin lòun àpèdè má pè tànà ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ ròde ìbànújẹ́ èèwọ̀ òrìṣà ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́ba ń jó gbogbo wa ló mọ̀ yẹ ká mú pátì dùn ṣe bí tiwa ni àrà ò ní tán nílé alára láíláí ilé mo borin ilé mo bálù àtàndá ti ṣẹ́kọ̀ náà ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń fẹ́ wa ẹ̀ máa ṣe gan-an.
Ogún ẹrú ooo n ó kì í bí ọlọ́gbọ̀n wọ̀fà. Bàbá mi Àdìsá Àjí ọmọ lágbẹ̀dù ọmọ alèmúlera bọ́lọ́tì ìwú ọ̀tà kọ́ránni sálèmúlera ọmọ alèmúlera ọmọ anímú ọ̀lànlé bàbá alákólọ ọmọ ajíbọ́sìn ọmọ ṣìnrádé ọmọ ẹ̀gbẹ́jì òwú ọmọ akànlẹ̀kùn àlè bí ẹni tí kò lóbìnrin bẹ́ẹ̀ ni gbogbo aya ló kúnlé títí abiọ̀dẹ̀dẹ̀ gbọ́kọ sánlẹ̀ láì tẹ́ní ọmọ pánpátá bìyẹ́ fòfa ọmọ jẹ́pọ̀ olùsí kò sòmí àyí ìfọ́ ọmọ orò tí mòmí tútù Àdìsá Àjí arìngbẹ̀gbẹ̀ bí ẹni ẹ̀gbẹ́ ń dùn ẹ̀gbẹ́ òkúkú dùn rán bàbá wa ọlá ló sodo sí wa lára ọmọ ọ̀yọ̀kọ̀tọ̀ níkun ájìfà bàbá mi Johnson Òkúnlọlá Olúbùnmi Àdìsá ọkọ ìyá mi Grace dúró oríkẹ́ máa sinmi lọ láyà olùgbàlà bá a bá ń retí àmọ́ dógún ọdún bá a bá ń ràjò àsìdọ́gbọ̀n oṣù ọ̀run nìkan ńlá rẹ̀ mọ́bọ̀ ìní olúwa ṣèyí akínwọnú ọlájẹ́ròkun àti gbogbo ẹbí ló ń ṣeré lẹ́yìn rẹ̀ ẹ̀yìn tẹ́ ẹ fi sílẹ̀ kọ́mọ̀ ṣe bàjẹ́ fún gbogbo wa. Òkúnlọlá Àdìsá Àjí ọmọ lágbẹ̀dù máa sinmi lọ láyé olùgbàlà ìpàdé tó dọjú àjíǹde sùnre o.
Johnson Olúbùnmi Òkúnlọlá ti dágbére fáyé ó dìgbà. Má ṣe bàbá. Akọ́dúró rí dágbére fáyé ṣe dìgbà. Papa Sine Fatrai. Ó mà ṣe o. Kòkòrò jẹ́ pẹ́jọ bí ògbó káká kẹ́. Ọmọ yẹ́rò kóra tata yìí. Àdìsá Jọ́sì Olúbùnmi okùn ọlá lọ. Ọkọ̀ Grace dúró wípé. Ọmọ wọn ní Ìbàdàn ní sí ọgọ́. Ìyẹn nílé olórí ọ̀lẹ́. Ìyàwó ẹ bá máa pé Màmá Grace á ní olùbádámọ̀ràn mi, olùrànlọ́wọ́ mi. Grace ṣọlẹ́dẹ̀ lẹ́yìn rẹ̀ Sine Fadra. Ajá dúró nígbẹ̀ ó ṣẹlẹ́dẹ̀ lẹ́yìn rẹ̀. Àwọn ọmọ gbogbo wọn pátápátá wọ́n ṣẹlẹ́dẹ̀ lẹ́yìn rẹ̀. Fadra ti dágbére fáyé ó dìgbà. Ìkúdòrò ó mẹ́dìrè lọ àti sáyẹ̀rọ̀kù ọkọ̀ dúró wípé. Bàbá Yọ̀délé, bàbá Fọláṣadé, bàbá Olúdọ̀tun. Ìpàdé dojú àlà òun tó dìgbà.
Right, thank you and welcome back. Remember, we're still talking about the histories and basic of self-determination. Just before we went on that break, we spoken about the right of the people to decide how they want to be governed, to have their representative, their own people, especially when we have the people. The people. When we talk about the people now, we're talking about the different ethnic group, ethnic community. So, like we have the Yoruba with the same culture, beliefs, language, etc. And of course, we also mentioned that it is not, although there's that right for self-determination, it's not absolute. It could be challenged. And we did mention Catalonia as an example of a nation, although it has a region, and when it pushing for independence, it wasn't recognized by the central government in that country, which is the Spanish government, but also it is not recognized by United Nations. And we've mentioned also that there are some couple of things that are looked at before the international body recognize a vote of independence arising from a referendum. If we look at South Sudan, it was jointly conducted by United Nations and Sudan and some other countries, including the African Union, were involved in conducting that referendum. Now, the South Sudan, before they got to that point, there were lots of victims. There were fights, there were killings. And of course, we Yoruba, we said we don't want to fight. I mean, war should be the last resort. And when we talk about the war, we're really not talking about us going to take other people's land, just like some other people have tried to take our own land. We are saying that we just want our land. Where we had the Yoruba people, that's just what we want. We don't want any part from the east. We don't want any part from the north. We don't want any part from the Middle East. We just want our own place. So, but then things has to be done the right way. It should be done. There are constitutionally laid routes that is expected to be followed. That is, if we don't want to go to war, then we go through those constitutional routes. And very importantly, so that we will not forget, we need to give voice to those people who have different views. We cannot say we want Yoruba and any other person should not say something else. The approach we are leading at the moment, it will be challenged, and the United Nations. I mean, if the federal government can ably present that, the United Nations will not recognize where you do not give other people the voice. It's democracy. So if you don't give them the chance to also present their voice, then there's going to be a problem. The United Nations will not recognize it. That's exactly what happened in Catalonia. Please read history, check history, do your research, so that we won't end up losing and wasting some things, including time, including lives, including resources. Then we will not come back to what we should have done in the first place. So please, let's take cognizance of that. Now, this is when we talk about what exactly is the process. I know that Yoruba has been registered with UN Pro. That is Unrepresented People's Organization. Unfortunately, some people took that to be United Nations. Those that are learned among us, please, let's correct that. The Unrepresented People's, it looks like UN Pro, but then it's completely different. It's not UN. I mean, people there can go and observe as observers in UN sessions, but they do not have any official, they don't have any official seats at the United Nations. So please, let's take note of that. So if there's going to be a referendum or a push for independence, there's always a territory, a people seeking for a sovereign state, either within or outside, either within that country. So for instance, Nigeria now, if Yoruba, if we decide that, okay, we want to hold a referendum, we want to be within Nigeria, but we don't want to be in Nigeria as different states. We want Lagos, Oyo, Osun, Ogun, Ekiti, Ondo, we want them to come together as a region within Nigeria. If we achieve that, that would be the first thing for our state executives and houses of assembly to pass that into law for us to do that referendum. So if we do that referendum and say we are coming together as a Yoruba nation, not as different states, we are coming together as a Yoruba nation, that automatically destroy the system of Nigeria without firing one single bullet. And that's what we're telling our people. There are ways to go through this thing. I mean, it's not everything we can say, because obviously the central government too has got people that are advising them. They also pick. We've had meetings we've done in the past, even before now, that we have government undercover, government undercover coming in to pick what is being said, to ask some questions so that they know what to take to the government. And it's not just only Buhari's government, even with the last government. So what we're saying, so that would be the first thing. Then when that is going to happen, remember that I'm in Scotland. Like I said, what Scotland did was, first of all, to secure a region out of the United Kingdom. After securing that region, they've got control over it. Scotland has been able to spend its own money on its own people as a region or even as a nation within United Kingdom, then Scotland can present to its people that if we are on our own, then we can do more because we've already proven that we can do it. So, but at the moment, if we relate it to Nigeria and Yoruba, we don't have a region yet. And that's one of the key challenge, or one of the key challenges that we have. Because now we have different governors. I'll use Amatekun as an example. We have other states, launching their Amatekun. Lagos decided not to. That already showed there's a crack in Yoruba land, because if everyone agrees that yes, this is needed, all of them should have it. So the fact that Lagos refused to set up one, that shows already there's a crack. So if you are going to say Yoruba now, you want people to vote, to have just take opinion and take it to United Nations, what United Nations will ask is that, okay, how many people are your people? You can't say you have about 50 million people, or let's even push it down. Let's say people that can vote in Yoruba land, let's say 20 million, just for the sake of talking. We have 20 million that could vote. And then we now have about less than 1 million voting, maybe about 800. I mean, I don't know whether it's East Timorese, because there was, in 1999, East Timorese independence referendum. There was one. I'm sure that it was there. There was one where they had only 3% of the people. I think only 3% of the population voted. The population that should be voted, only 3%. And because of that, it was not recognized. I'm just trying to say, because I had those things put somewhere. So because they were so, when you compare those people who voted to the population that could vote, it was so minute. And then they just decided, no, this cannot be accepted. So and that's exactly what we told some people. They said we're just going to ask people to raise up their hand and this thing, and then majority, or put something on the internet, and then if people do it and do it, like, yes, what percentage? Those people that said they want referendum, are you just going to you are just taking people that want referendum, just put your this thing here, just say yes, 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 yes. Then you go, you take about less than 1 million. You take it to United Nations that, okay, about 700,000 people have voted that they want referendum in Yoruba land. Then the point is, how many people say they don't want that Yoruba nation? They say, no, we don't have any record about them. So that means you've conducted something whereby you didn't allow the other people to present their views. That can never be taken as a democracy. We believe that our leaders, they should know this. So you look at the number of people who was voting. First of all, the percentage of those people that are voting. Two, the number of people you claim that you have that are within the voting age. Secondly, you must be able to show that the process which you use to secure that vote is constitutional and fair. So if you cannot show it, because most of the thing, you just ask people to vote, do we want independence, to go on a site and say, yes, I want independence. That could be taken as an opinion. It can't be presented before the United Nations as a fact or as a proof that yes, this is what we have. So you have the percentage of the voting population for Yoruba to present. Secondly, you must be able to present the views of those who said, we don't want. If we are unable to provide that, it will negate every other thing. Please research very well. That's what happened in Catalonia. And like I mentioned, if you are just joining us, check for Catalonia leaders jailed. The man said we should have done things differently. We should have taken cognizance of those people, even within our region, who have different views to independence. So now they understand that the international standard, when you are running a referendum, it has to meet the international standards. The people that have different views have to be accommodated. If you cannot show that you only harvest the voice of people that want. So how do you want to say that majority of the people, because this is about majority, how do you want to present that majority of the people want that Yoruba nation if you're unable to show the percentage of the other people that said we don't want, for whatever reasons? Like I said, people may not want it for whatever reason. People may think that, no, we are not yet there. We still need some things to put in place before we can go for this. I mean, Femi Falana, that's what he said. Where have you conducted referendum? Where have you gathered people's voices to say, yes, we want, no, we don't want, and we know that, okay, this is the majority? Nothing. And people are allowed to correct me if I'm wrong here. United Nations does not go into any country to just go and conduct referendum. They don't. If you talk about, let's say Yoruba now, if we claim that, oh, we are under subjugation by the Fulani led government, then the question to us is, do you have that Fulani government, did it allow your reps, or they didn't allow anybody from your region to take part in politics? If they ask us that question, we can't answer it. I mean, we have representatives. In fact, the vice president is Yoruba. The houses of the Senate, we have Yoruba representatives there from all states. In fact, if you listen to Buhari, some couple of days with some statements, he was basically telling you that, listen, you people have your own political representatives. They were irresponsible to you. So why are you facing me? Go and face them. He even said two of them from Southwest, obviously you know it's Yoruba, that they came to him and he chased them away. Go and resolve your own people's problem. So Buhari is already telling you that your people, Yoruba, you have representatives. Your people are involved in government. Yes, you said Fulani is the head of the country, but your state governor, is your state governor Fulani? No, it's Yoruba people like you. You selected that person. So we can't say they've captured us, they didn't allow us to participate in politics and code, they've subjugated us. The evidence of that is not. We can't present it to the United Nations. Yes, we have Fulani people that are killing people. The government is not doing anything. But that's the same thing they're doing in the Middle Belt. And remember, it started from the north itself. Kaduna, Kaduna is still being attacked. Even the president's state, Katsina, is still being attacked. Gombe, all of them like that. So, yes, we have issues. We know what is happening. But what I'm saying is that, is there any fact that we can present that these Yorubas are not allowed to take part in anything in the country? We are subjugated, and that is why we want to pull out. That's not the situation at the moment. So United Nations will not just come to rush in. The areas where United Nations will come in is if you go into war, and then the international community with AU, like it was done with Sudan, they will now come together to see it, okay, the fight between this government and these people, how do we resolve it? They try to also get leaders from both sides. Okay, we need to stop this war. By that time, people have been killed, properties destroyed, you have displaced people. So now they will now say, okay, we think we should have a referendum here. And then they begin to set the day for referendum after people have been killed. So what should be the last resort? What should be done, first of all, is push for this referendum. If the government try to block the referendum, it's very, very easy to now call in the international community to say, we have a right to conduct a referendum. The government is blocking us from having this referendum. And because it's our right, we want you to block aid to the federal government. And we will secure that easily. But if we don't do it the right way, the federal government, because remember that Nigeria is already a member state. So the Nigerian government will create an excuse to attack us. Yes, individual member of the United Nations, they will talk, but then you'll be so surprised that United Nations may not even have do you know how long it takes before the United Nations will now have like an article or something on a particular nation? I mean, they will have killed those people silly. And there's no way that United Nations comes in at that, what they call a precarious time. See what happened in Libya and other places. When they go there, the member state, they also take care of their own interests. So it's better for us to do it the way we should do it, and then bring them in as observers. So quickly, because of our time, so usually an independent referendum, usually it happens when people that are considered to be nationalists of a territory, when they are voted into position. So, for instance, in Scotland, Scotland is like a nation on its own. It's just like we had in Nigeria. In Nigeria in the 60s, is a region. Now, when we voted before for SNP, Scottish Nationalist Party, because they are nationalists, they are the ones that already have it on the agenda. We want an independent, we will work towards an independent Scotland. So when people voted for them en masse here, that's the first signal, that's the first political voice that, yes, we support independence. So when you have such party in place and they have majority of the vote, then that party can say, yes, we're going to push for independence. But today, the people that are talking to us from Yoruba land are leaders of one group or the other. Yes, we have Afenifere, we have Ilana, we have Yoruba Koya, we have Egbe Omodua, we have all this, we have, quite lots of them, including us at the Yoruba Referendum Committee as well. But we're just representatives of groups. When we go to our our political parties, we don't have any one of them. We don't, in fact, in Yoruba land, we don't have any party that is saying, listen, I want a Yoruba nation. There's none of them that has that on their manifesto. So we don't have that political structure that seeks towards Yoruba independence. Secondly, even for those people that are shouting restructuring, they talk generally. We don't have any single party that have said, remember that the Hausas, Hausa Fulani, and I'm coming to that area. Remember that the Hausa Fulanis, they don't talk about restructuring. It is in the South here, we always talk about restructuring. So why is it that none of the political parties in Yoruba land, none of them has restructuring agenda for Southern Nigeria, or let's say for Yoruba, because we are the ones that have been shouting about it. The other people don't shout about it. But when you want to talk, they will say we will restructure. How do you give restructuring to the North that is not demanding for it? So I'm just talking about the procedures. So what happened is you must be able to identify a political voice among your people that the voice is for the people, not for the general. Then, after you have this voice, this political voice, and which we think could be achieved if we're able to get a referendum to bring all the Southwest Yoruba states, to bring them together, instead of putting them in how many 6 states or thereabout. As they are in 6 states, if some things are pushed, you can actually get 3 agreeing, the remaining 3 not agreeing. So the system at the moment makes it very, 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 very easy. You know what they call divide and rule. So if we have them, bring all of them together into a region, automatically, if we vote to have that, automatically it destroys the Nigerian system. Then it's time for the others to begin to say that, what do we do here? We will have done our own, and we will have bring the system, the current corrupted system. They will say that if the foundation be destroyed, what will the righteous do? That bad foundation, we will have bring that system to its knees without even insulting anybody. Now, after you secure the political voice, usually the government, that is the people from the leaders or the representatives of the people here, and the government will now start to enter into negotiations. Because what happens is, once your people vote to have this, the government has to respond. That's what we had in Scotland. When the SNP was voted into place, and the government at Westminster, that is in London, knew that SNP is a nationalist party. His focus is to get independence for Scotland. They started engaging with the party. And then they began to talk. It was this talk that led to, okay, yes, you are a party, you say you are SNP, you said you want independence, but as the United Kingdom, we have a right to protect the views of everyone. Just the way that you, Scottish National Party, you've got a right. But each individual in Scotland, we as the government of UK, we have a right to protect their rights. So, if you want to go into a referendum, as you claim, we need to sit down and discuss how that referendum will be done. what dates, what question that we're going to ask. It has to be jointly agreed. Meanwhile, when they are doing this, the international community is watching. So they say if they agree on this and then they go on to the referendum, you find out that the international community will respect whatever result comes out from that referendum. Now, I'll read this. Independence referendum can be held without the consent of a national or the federal government. Then the international community will rely on several other factors. There will be some cases where you want to have a referendum and the federal government will say, no, we are not going to allow you to have it. So what I have here is that the international community will now rely on other factors. And one of those factors is that those people are being oppressed by the central government. Whether they are being oppressed or not. Now, if they find out that, okay, Yoruba, you are being oppressed by the federal government. I mean, that's what we're going to present, isn't it? That, we are being oppressed by the federal government. We want to do a referendum. The federal government said, no, it won't support it. Yes, okay, what are the oppressions? How are we being oppressed? Yes, the Fulani kill our people in Gangan and Co. What structure do we have? We have 3 tiers of government. The state governor, who is meant to be given security vote, has that been withheld? Or as the central government taking over the state and it's not doing anything? No. So, what am I saying? If the federal government says, no, we're not going to allow you to do this thing, then the international community, that's the United Nations, can still recognize that nation. But on the basis that we can show that we are being oppressed by the central government. And one of those major oppression that some other countries have used successfully is that they are not allowed to take part in government. Meanwhile, in Yoruba today, we Yoruba, we are taking part in government. We have our own government at the states and the local level. In fact, it's the state governors through the state INEC. It's the state governors or the state government which conduct the local government election. It's not even the federal. So, and I'm just talking about evidence. So either we agree, once we have a political voice in that region, and then tell the people, the government, listen, we want to go for a referendum. And good enough, because of the structure we have in Nigeria, we don't have to go to the federal government. We go to our governors and state houses of assembly. They should pass a law for us to have a referendum. So if we push that, then the federal government will say, no, you don't have a right to do that. Then let them go to court. They will go to court. And for people who go, if we have a good memory, this is exactly what happened with the Amatekun. When Amatekun was being, when the discussion, and initially the federal government said, no, you don't have a right to make a law to set up another security arm when the police are already there. And people said, yeah, go to court. Because the state has a right to make laws. At the end of the day, the federal government backed out. So, and it's just the same thing here. Even with the Catalonia, the Spanish government went to court. So, anyway, so what happened is they will meet, they will decide when is going to be done, what questions they are going to ask and other things that needs to be done. Remember that even in Scotland, the age of voting was lowered. It was agreed that the age of those people that could vote should be lower, and that people that are not resident here should not vote. It's only people that are in Scotland. So all these things has to be, is what they call negotiations. In fact, Scotland's history is when Scotland says, listen, we are going to have a referendum, we are leaving the UK, and go. That is the time at times the Westminster government will give them a bit of power. Okay, please don't go. Yeah, I mean, why do you want to go? Okay, we can't. Let's reach a deal. We'll give you more power. We'll devolve more power to you so that please stay with us. So at times that works, but at times it doesn't work, and people eventually go into referendum. And by the time they set up the dates, please note this very well. When the date is set up, that is after it's been agreed what date, what question, what age of the ages of people that could participate within that region, so to say. Then that before that date, both sides, the people that support referendum, that support the referendum they want to do is like a vote for people to decide this. So if the question is, do you want us to be in Nigeria or you want us to be an independent nation? You will have people that will say, yes, we want to be out of Nigeria. You have people that will say, no, me, I don't want us to be outside Nigeria. I still want us to be in Nigeria, but we want to have our own powers and co. The two sides must be given space to campaign. What we're doing at the moment in Yoruba land, that's very specific about Yoruba land today. What we are doing at the moment that other people that have different views cannot talk is going to work against us. So we are meant to give the other people also space. Let them do their own campaign. Let them say why they think we can't. I mean, even Gordon Brown, Scotland, Gordon Brown is Scottish. Gordon Brown is one of the former prime ministers of UK. He's Scottish. He lives here, and he was against Scotland independence. Even a Scottish person, former PM, he said, no, I don't think we can be on our own now. I mean, people don't go to his house and start saying that they will shoot him, or they will break his head, or that it will not be better for his 4, 5, 6, 7 generations. No, he presented his case. They called, you have the media outlets, they call both parts. They call them into debate. Come and debate. Tell people why you want it. Tell people why you don't want it. Let people ask you questions. That's the way democracy works. Remember that we are talking about procedures. So there has to be negotiations. First of all, there has to be political voice among those people, among the people that wants to, whether they want to be a nation within a nation, or they want to go away completely. Now, Professor Akitoye, when they were talking about secession the other time, said, no, we are not saying that we want to secede from Nigeria. But then, what are the people outside that said they were following Baba? What are they saying? They are saying, no, we don't want to be in Nigeria again. But Baba is saying that we didn't say that we want to secede. We just want to have our own nation within Nigeria. So this thing has to be agreed. So after you have the political voice, so that means even within Yoruba now, the political voice is not even the same. We have one side saying this, we have one side saying that. Governor Akeredolu is asking, where did we all agree that this is what we're going to do? Chief Falana is saying that, okay, where did we agree and where did we present the process or the procedure leading to what we're talking about? And others as well. So we have to have a common political voice. When I say common, I'm not saying the same. So the common political voice is that, yes, we need to have a referendum. Then secondly, there has to be an agreement. So the political voice now is pushing a bill for Yoruba now, pushing a bill through the State House of Assemblies and the governor to sign it for it to become law. After that, then we can begin to now talk about what question are we going to ask and what day. That is where the federal government might possibly now get in to say that, no, we don't think you should have this referendum because we've done whatever we should do for you. We follow the constitution, the 1999 constitution, and then these Yoruba representatives will possibly say, listen, we've said we don't want that 1990 constitution because it wasn't made by the people. Now, the federal government could now say that, okay, there's a way we can resolve this. Let's sit down and talk. Now, the federal government will not be talking with the whole Nigeria because Yoruba has taken their own stand. If the others like, the Middle Belt, the Biafra, if they like, they can sit back. If they like, they can also do whatever they want to do. In Nigeria, things where we have to wait for others has never worked for us. So, back to what we're saying. So, the federal government will try to appeal that, listen, you don't need to do this. We can resolve this within ourselves. Now, if the rep of the Yoruba think that, yes, the federal government, there are some things they could get from them, like, okay, autonomy, we want all our resources, we want Yoruba as a whole. We don't want you to split us into 6 states with different governments. We want a Yoruba nation. We within that Yoruba nation will decide how whatever we want to do with all our areas. Because it won't be Ekiti State now again. It will be all our areas. Lagos, Ekiti, Ondo, Oyo, Anko, whatever we want to do with them is not the business of the federal government. So, if the people say, okay, that's what we want, and the government say, okay, we'll allow you, and that agreement is reached, then there's no need to go to the referendum again. But after we secure that, and you look at that, also have to come with, okay, we control our resources, we only pay maybe so percentage to the federal government to maintain the central government. I mean, if the government agrees, because now the government has seen that we've taken steps, we've pushed the referendum bill into law. So the government wanting Yoruba to still stay within Nigeria will say, okay, we can leave this. Let's agree on this. You can have this autonomy. Don't go. Then we'll know we've got that. Maybe we never know. Maybe in another 5 or 10 years and go, then we can say, okay, I think we need more, and then we'll go for more. That's one possibility. The other one is for the federal government to say, no, you people, we can't allow you to have referendum, and we are not ready to negotiate anything with you and co. And that is when the issue now moves on to the international community, that the government is denying us as a people our rights. Remember, we are talking about procedures. Now, if the federal government now look at, okay, you want to go for referendum, okay, that's fine. We also have a right to protect anybody that does not want referendum within Yoruba. As a federal government, we have that responsibilities for them. So they will say, yeah, that's fine. So what questions and what day are we going to do it? So let's say we're going to do it in 3 months' time. The two sides will be given the platform to talk to the public, that is the Yoruba public, about why The Yoruba one will be why we need a Yoruba nation. Why from the federal government or the other ones will be saying that why the Yoruba people do not need a Yoruba nation now. They are much better being with us in Nigeria. So they will do their own campaign. This other side will do their own campaign as well. The one from this side should be able to say that listen, if we are on our own, this is how much we'll be generating. We've calculated in 5 years, if we secure the independence today, in 5 years, we've calculated that we're going to have the rate that we are giving birth in Yoruba land. In 5 years, we will have about 700,000 pupils that will be entering primary school. And in that 5 years, we've ensured that we will have schools for them. And this is how we are going to fund it. We'll be able to look like, okay, we've looked at our population. In 5 years or 10 years, the people that are like 15, they will be about 60 now, which is getting to their old age. We look at, okay, this is the number of pensioners we will have. This is the number of very old people we will have that we need to take care of health-wise. We need to provide medical attention for them. These are, within these 7 years, these are expected pregnancy that we're expecting. So we have to make sure that maternity wards, we increase the maternity wards in our hospitals, or this. They need to put that together and use it to campaign for their people. You can't just be saying Yoruba now. Yes, it's Yoruba. Then when we get there, we'll be sorting it out. It's not going to work. People will take advantage of us. So, and that's why it's always very good when we have procedures. So when the two sides have campaigned, they will have debates. I mean, here they took debates to the universities, they took debates to the public communities, everywhere. The people in the health services, they were able to say what they think about it, why they will support it. The ones that will not support it, they say their own. The people that are in transport business, the people in food business, the oil and gas over there in Aberdeen, those that are in education, schools, even primary and secondary schools, the teachers, they were able to say, this is why we want independence. The ones that do not want it, they said, this is why we don't want it. So everybody was allowed to campaign and to enter into debate. And at the end of the day, the date came. Already there were structures in place. That is, polling booths, they've had officers. It's definitely, you wouldn't expect us to want to do Yoruba referendum vote, and then you go and bring somebody from the north to come and man the poll. It's not going to happen. So, yes, we have Yoruba people that will man it, but also they will have observers from international communities and co, because they want to ensure that it's fair. The people that will say, no, they don't want, they want to ensure that the people are not attacked, that they are able to cast their votes, and then if the vote is against them, they will know, yeah, that is what the majority of our people want, and that's what we go by. So once that is done, and we're talking about processes, once that one is done, then you go into the vote itself, and whatever you have from the votes becomes the majority voice of the people. If majority says, no, we don't want, that's it. If majority says, yes, we want this. Now, after that vote is done, that people say that's yes, we want, yes, we want, yes, we want, it doesn't mean that if the central government will just say, okay, clap your hand, now you need to go. No. They will still talk about it. There are For instance, when you look at Nigeria, we have debts. We have some of our, and it's quite very good for us in Nigeria because we seem to have clear boundaries. So the government or whoever is going to remain in the other side, they will look like, okay, if these people that said they want to be on their own, if they don't have enough security to secure their boundaries and prevent aggression from external forces, will that affect the territorial integrity of the remaining nation? If they can prove that, even if there's a yes vote, they won't allow that country to go. Now, Catalonia had a yes vote, but it wasn't, like I said, go and check it. UN did not even recognize it. Then you have, there's one they call Donbass referendum in 2014 as well, which is part of the Ukraine, the Ukrainian government. That was also rejected. It was rejected as illegal. So the Ukrainian government did not recognize it. The United Nations did not recognize it, despite the fact that they voted yes. Catalonia, they voted yes. But those people that led the cause, they are in jail. And they found out that they didn't do some things right, the way it should be done. So the United Nations does not recognize it. Now, if there's a vote against, that doesn't mean that that region cannot push again another time. I mean, it happened in Scotland, where I am, 2014. People voted no. But after they finished voting, they're like they will say in my eyes, they are in my from where I come from, that's Nigeria. They say the eye don't clear. Then the Scottish people begin to look, these other people that came to speak to us that we should vote against independence. They just use something to cover our eyes. So they said, no, we want another independence referendum. We want another one. And it's not just Scotland, also in Quebec. Quebec is in Canada. They had a referendum. You know, even 2 referendums in Quebec. So the fact that, yes, it didn't go through doesn't mean that you can't do it again. And the fact that yes, you vote yes, doesn't mean that you just get it like that. I think it's the Donbass referendum, where they have very limited number of people that voted yes. I mean, that number compared to the population of place was sort minute. So, and they just said, no, this is unacceptable. Why that of Catalonia, why it was rejected was the fact that, one, those people that have different views, they didn't vote. So there's no way such a vote can be said to be democratic. There were violence. Those other ones within the same Catalonia, they were not Catalonia. They didn't go out to vote. There were lots of violence, so they just decided to stay. So the same thing with Yoruba Nation now. Unfortunately, the way people are shouting is Yoruba Nation now. Anybody that does not want Yoruba Nation, this thing will happen. We will shoot the person from the back. We would now, if you put box there and you ask people to go and vote, with those people that you have threatened, will they go and cast ballots? They won't go. And if they don't go, and we don't have a record that people voted for and against, if you don't have the other record, that means you did not allow the other people to cast their vote, and that will not be recognized. And unfortunately, we might not be able to defend it because it won't be the choice, the free will choice of those people. That means the other people you didn't allow to cast their vote, that means you have also blocked their rights. So you can't be claiming your right when you have taken away the rights of other people. Now, I'm going to end this here, right? And I think by next 2 weeks, because next week I'll be having Mr. Femi Odedeyi from the Yoruba Referendum Committee. They will be right back, and they'll be able to tell us the progress from their own side. But when I come after him, that will be in 2 weeks' time, we'll look at some of these countries who've had referendum, the ones that were recognized, the ones that were not recognized by the international body, the ones that were recognized by the central government and the international body, or the ones that were not recognized either way. So that when we can take, what we look at, we can take examples from other nations. I also want us to the organization that Yoruba is registered with now, Ninas. I think it's Ninas. No, it's not Ninas. I think Ilan. That's a group by Professor Akitoye. Yoruba Nation is registered with UNPRO or so, that unrepresented people. Now, please go and check the way that organization operates. That organization, number one, does not support violence to seek independence or to seek self-determination. It's clearly stated there. They don't support it. So, and of course, they are different from the United Nations. But that organization do train members of whichever nation or ethnic community that is registered with them. They train their people, they give them resources, they give them advice. But right on there, they said people should not seek it by violence. So if things are done not in the way they want, they could pull out. You might not really have that support they said they will give you. You might not have it from them. Right. So we will see next week. Obviously not on this program. It's going to be on the other program, which is with Mr. Femi right on there, Odedeyi. And of course, on Saturday, we'll be connecting with Wura on understanding Scottish social works, how it works. The social works here, you will have heard that people have their children taken by the social services, or people get into trouble with them. We're just trying to let people know what these people look out for. And it's very important so that you know what to do. And in case you have some of them that wants to be funny, when it comes to discrimination and co, you already know what they should ask, or what they have a right to ask you, or the rights that you have. So if somebody is coming with some funny things, you can always tell them that, listen, I've got my rights. And then that will put them back. It will put them back online. So until then, my name is Samuel Oludare Yerokun, and obviously have been speaking right on here on OY Media Scotland. So please do connect with us next week, and do stay safe, and do have a wonderful and blessed and fruitful week. God bless.
èmi ò lọ́nà méjì láyé tó dorin lọ orin ṣá ni iṣẹ́ mi ò tó dá mi lójú ẹ pè wá síbi ayẹyẹ ìyẹn nígbàkúgbà Yejement is a player o Oṣùọ̀jọ̀ Bọ́lá mi mẹ́tì ló ń pèdè ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ o ìjòyà. Bọ́lá mi mẹ́tì ló ń pèdè ẹ̀mújó akọrin bí ẹni jẹ̀kọ́ ìjòyà.
bọ̀bọ̀ alóyin lòun àpèdè má pè tànà ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ ròde ìbànújẹ́ èèwọ̀ òrìṣà ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́ba ń jó gbogbo wa ló mọ̀ yẹ ká mú pátì dùn ṣebí tiwa ni àrà ò ní tán nílé alára láíláí ilé mo borin ilé mo bálù àtàndá ti ṣẹ́kọ̀ náà ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń fẹ́ wa ẹ̀ máa ṣe gan-an.
ọmọ alèmúlera bọ́lọ́tì ìwú ọ̀tà kọ́ran ní sálèmúlera n ó kì í bí ológun ẹrú o n ó kì í bí ọlọ́gbọ̀n wọ̀fà bàbá mi àdìsá àjí ọmọ lágbẹ̀dù ọmọ alèmúlera bọ́lọ́tì ìwú ọ̀tà kọ́ran ní sálèmúlera ọmọ alèmúlera ọmọ anímù ọ̀lànlé bàbá alákólọ ọmọ ajíbọ́sìn ọmọ sìnrádé ọmọ ẹgbẹ̀jì òun ọmọ akànlẹ̀kùn àlè bí ẹni tí kò lóbìnrin bẹ́ẹ̀ ni gbogbo aya ló kún létí tí abi ọ̀dẹ̀dẹ̀ gbọ́kọ sánlẹ̀ láì tẹ́ní ọmọ páńpátá bìyẹ́ fòfa ọmọ jẹ́pọ̀ olùsí kò sòní àyè ìfọ́ ọmọ orò tí mògì tútù àdìsá àjí arìngbẹ̀dẹ̀ bí ẹni ẹ̀gbẹ́ ń dùn ẹ̀gbẹ́ òkúkú dùn rán bàbá wa ọlá ló sodo sí wa lára ọmọ ọ̀yọ̀kọ̀tọ̀ nípun àjìfà bàbá mi Johnson Òkúnlọlá Olúbùnmi Àdìsá ọkọ ìyá mi Grace Dúró Oríkẹ́ máa sinmi lọ láyà olùgbàlà bá a bá ń rebi àmọ́ dógún ọdún bá a bá ń ràjò àsìdọ́gbọ̀n oṣù ọ̀run nìkan ńlá rẹ̀ mọ́bọ̀ èmi Olúwaṣèyí Akínwọnú Ọláyéròkun àti gbogbo ẹbí ló ṣeré lẹ́yìn rẹ̀ iwájú tẹ́ ẹ dojúkọ ibi eré ẹ̀yìn tẹ́ ẹ fi sílẹ̀ kọ́mọ̀ ṣe bàjẹ́ fún gbogbo wa Òkúnlọlá Àdìsá Àjí ọmọ lágbẹ̀dù máa sinmi lọ láyè olùgbàlà ìpàdé tó dọjú àjíǹde sùn re o.
Johnson Olúbùnmi Òkúnlọlá ti dágbére fáyé ó dìgbà. Má ṣe ìgbà wà. Ọkọ̀ dúró rí dágbére fáyé ṣe ìgbà. Bàbá sílẹ̀ fàdà ẹ̀. Ó mà ṣe. Kòkòrò jẹ́ gbẹ́jọ́ bí ògbó káká kẹ́. Ọmọ yẹ́rò kóra tata yìí. Àdìsá Johnson Olúbùnmi Òkúnọlá lọ. Ọkọ Grace Dúró Oríkẹ́ ọmọ wọn ní Ìbàdàn mẹsì ọgọ ìyẹn nílé Olúyọ̀lé ìyàwó ẹ bá máa pé màmá Grace á ní olùbádámọ̀ràn mi olùrànlọ́wọ́ mi. Grace ṣọlédè lẹ́yìn rẹ̀ Sinefagra. Aya Dúró Oríkẹ́ ó ṣẹlédè lẹ́yìn rẹ̀. Àwọn ọmọ gbogbo wọn pátápátá wọ́n ṣẹlédè lẹ́yìn rẹ̀. Sinefagra ti dágbére fáyé ó dìgbà. Ikú dúró ó mẹ́gìrì lọ àti sáyé lóko ọkọ̀ dúró wíkẹ̀ bàbá Yọ̀délé bàbá Fọláṣadé Abọ́dúndọ̀tun ìpàdé dojú àlá o tó dìgbà. On the 1st of July, 1935, Agadi Sasaye. On the 1st of July, 1935, Agadi Sasaye. Ìyẹ̀lárọ̀rọ̀ village, lóko Ìbàdàn, Jacob, Ọlágúnjú, pẹ̀lú ìyàwó ẹ̀, Àdìsábẹ̀ o, Ayáyéròkú, Àdìsá tí ló bá òbí ẹ̀ lọ́rùn o. Ìgbà t'Àdìsá dàgbà, bàbá ẹ̀ pa Jacob, ó fi sílé ìwé ní St. David lárọ̀rọ̀ village. Wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ ó ṣe díẹ̀ ń bẹ̀, ó tún tẹ̀síwájú ó di St. Stephen. Ìyẹn l'Anglican school náà lè dé nígboro Ìbàdàn. Àdìsá jọmọ tó jáfáfá ilé ìwé ẹ̀. Gbogbo àwọn teachers náà kan sára sí. She never dry. Ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣiṣẹ́ as a clerk. Ìyẹn ní Lebanese stores. Wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́. Ó tún di Sisa building materials company. Ìyẹn ní Tágì nígboro Ìbàdàn. As a clerk for many years. Ó tó di pé bàbá tẹ̀síwájú lọ sí Liverpool ìlú London. Ìpara tó dé sí Nàìjíríà padà, wọ́n transfer bàbá sí Never Dry ó di Zigzag ìyẹn nígboro Kano as a store manager. Bàbá ṣèyẹ títí ó pẹ́ ó dá iléeṣẹ́ tiẹ̀ lẹ̀. Building materials lóríṣiríṣi ní bàbá Àdìsá ń tà nígboro Ìbàdàn. Adédèkú Ìbàjẹ́. Banjo Simira Tata. He was a secretary ìyẹn ní CAC Church. Níta balẹ̀ Olúgbòde Ìbàdàn. Ìròyìn ẹ̀ tí mo gbọ́, ibi akọrin ni bàbá ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí sọ lọ́wọ́ gbà. Abájọ tí mo fi fẹ́ràn bàbá, àṣọ lórí bíi tèmi ni bàbá Àdìsá sí Never Dry. Bàbá Ṣadé, ìyàwó ọ̀rọ̀ tún ní bàbá. Jọ́sì kò fàdúrà ṣeré rárá. Àdúrà lọ́pàá Kristi. Ayọ̀ bàbá lọ lánà níjọ.
arúgbó yé ọbẹ̀ ní nísìnyí. Àdìsá mi rà tata, bàbá yọyé lónìí tèmi, Fẹ́mi Awẹ́ yẹ l'Amẹ́ríkà. Bàbá Fọláṣadé yé ni wo máa pè ẹ́, Abíọ́dún Olúṣọ̀yà, àwọn tí Clan Connection, olórúurẹ yé mọ́ bá ròde, Olúdọ̀tun àjẹgbẹ́ ayé, Mátà Napot, yẹn l'Australia, Olúdáre yé ni wo máa pè ẹ́, Regine Yéròkú, Scotland Lower, tó gbé pawó rajé, Ọlárewájú, Láìdé Yéròkú, àwọn tí Clan Connection, Adéọlá, Ọ̀sátó Ìbílẹ̀, America Connection Mamari, Yorùbá mi tọ́jú ẹ̀ Tolúlọpẹ́ pẹ̀lú Gbénga, Olúmúyìwá Yéròkú, àwọn méjèèjì ní Clan Connection Mamari. Ṣadé Akíntọ́lá, Ọlọ́láyé mo bá ròde, Jayéjayé ló ní tèmi, àwọn ọmọ pàjọ́ sí Àdìsá, Okunola Yéròkú, àwọn ọmọ rere ló gbẹ̀yìn bá mi, Sinefadra mo dọ̀rùn ṣọrúre, ọkọ Grace dúró ríkẹ́, màmá alálùbáríkà mari, ẹkú àṣẹ ìdè babo nínú re, tí màmá mi dúró ríkẹ́ tán bá máa pọpọ wọn, wọ́n ní olùbádámọ̀ràn mi, olùrànlọ́wọ́ mi, Sinefadra, ọkọ Grace dúró ríkẹ́, ọlọ́kọ̀dẹ̀lẹ̀ kó nínú re, bàbá Ṣadé. Ọjọ́ tábàdà àgbà tábàdà arúgbó, ọmọ ẹni nísìnyí. Sinefadra, mo sọ síwájú, gbogbo tán gbélé ayé ṣe ní ti rere, bàbá ti bá wọn ṣe sẹ́. À ń gbélé ayé lórúkọ, bàbá lórúkọ gidi, orúkọ tó ṣe fìyàn gan fáwọn ọmọ, philanthropist ní bàbá kó tó di bọ́ lọ́jọ́ dé. Bàbá tún ní street sígboro Ìbàdàn, Yéròkú street, lẹ́bàá Chief Lẹ́kan Salami house, ìyẹn nílé tuntun, Olúyọ̀rọ̀ academy nígboro Ìbàdàn. Bàbá Yéròkú kó tó di pé wọ́n dá Americana finally, ó dọ̀rùn tí ọdún rẹ mo tẹnu mọ́, ọkọ̀ Grace dúró ríkẹ́, Fájọ́sì, Okunola yé ni wo máa pè ẹ́, bàbá Ṣadé, bàbá Yọ̀délé lónìí tèmi. Ọjọ́ tábàdà àgbà tábàdà arúgbó yé ọmọ ẹni nísìnyí. Àníṣe ọjọ́ tábàdà àgbà tábàdà arúgbó, ọkọ̀ dúró rí ọmọ ẹni nísìnyí. Sinefadra, ọ̀pẹ̀rù wọn ṣe léde lẹ́yìn rẹ̀, àwọn ọmọ gbogbo wọn ṣe léde lẹ́yìn rẹ̀, ẹbí ará rẹ̀ wọ́n ṣe léde lẹ́yìn rẹ̀, àwọn èèyàn láti ìlú Ẹdẹ wọ́n ṣe léde lẹ́yìn rẹ̀, Olúwo wọ́n ní mo dọ̀rùn ṣẹrúre, agboolé oníkẹ́kẹ́ wọ́n ní Yéròkú ó dìgbà òdìgbò ṣe, Balógun ó ṣe léde lẹ́yìn rẹ̀, ìrọ́jú náà wọ́n ní mo dọ̀rùn ṣẹrúre, Kọ́lé Oṣó, Sàlàkọ́, Ìbítúndé and all Àrọ̀rọ̀ mega city, gbogbo wọn wọ́n ṣe léde lẹ́yìn ẹ̀, Sinefadra bàbá fàjọsìn olúkùnmi òkunlọ́lá ọmọ yéròkun ó dìgbà ó dojú àlàkà tó ríra àlọ́jọ́ tábà dàgbà tábà darúgbó yé ọmọ ẹni nísìnyí. a ò dìgbò ṣe. a ò dìgbò ṣe sílẹ̀ fàgbà ìlọ nílẹ̀ yìí aláàdìsá ọmọ ìlérò ó ti gbà. àdìsá ìdí ọmọ lágbẹ̀dù ọmọ kókó bí irọ́ ọmọ anímọ̀ láńlé ọmọ àlèmọ́lera ọmọ bá láti wọ́tà ó rẹ́ni sí kòkó òkú àlèmọ́lera ọmọ anímọ̀ láńlé ọmọ pápá tàbí ẹ̀fọ́fà ọmọ kò sí òṣùwọ̀n níbẹ̀ níbẹ̀. Dàgbàlúsìn kò sọ́ni àyẹ̀kù ọmọ orò tí mo di tútù ọmọ lágbẹ̀jù ọmọ ẹgbẹ̀jì òkú ọmọ àrìn gẹ̀dẹ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ bí ẹni ẹgbẹ́ nù. ẹgbẹ́ òkúrọ̀ bàbá mi yí rọ́nà ló sodo sí wa náírà. abọ́lọ́sà lè jẹjẹ bí ẹni òróbìnrin wí. ẹ̀sìn ní gbogbo ayákúnlé títí sí never dry ọmọ gbogbo olóbì àfìgbàdáró àdìsá bàbá mi ti lẹ́wà jóbìnrin lọ. ó ṣàtẹ̀sẹ̀ pupa bí epo ọmọ àbí ìlú gbogbo mọ́lẹ̀ yìí ti lágbẹ̀dì ọmọ wájú ọlọ́kọ̀ tí sowó ọmọ ẹ̀yìn ọlọ́kọ̀ aṣojú gbára lẹ́gbẹ́ ọmọ gbẹgbẹgbẹgbẹ ọlọ́kọ̀ wá tún yẹbẹyẹbẹ lójú omi. àdìsá ọmọ ẹni rówó jẹ rówó sáyé ẹni rówó jẹra sẹgbẹ yòyò ọmọ ẹni rówó jẹra wọláwò ọmọ olóyè mo yẹra jífòkè òjò má pa mí ìdílé jẹ Yorùbá bá mẹ́fà ọmọ gbogbo ọmọ ajísù ọmọ ajíṣe bí ọ̀gá ládé ti lárugẹ bàmí àdìsá sí never dry ọmọ síbẹ̀ lóye ó dọ́rùn oṣù ọdún gbé. Fàjọsí ti lọ nílẹ̀ yìí o, Aládìsá ọmọ Yéròkun ó dìgbà.
Wà lóyìn lòun, àgbèdè má pè ta.